Almost Punk Podcast, episode 36.
Yes, indeed. We have punk rock bowling.
We
We have Emo's Not Dead. We have Sum 41 breakup news. We got new releases. We got tons of stuff
to talk about.
Yes. But
that's right.
punk rock bowling just finished, what was it, 1.5 days ago? 2 days ago?
I'm still tired.
I am beat.
Yeah.
But it was awesome, but good and bad. So we'll talk about all of it.
Yes.
It was Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, plus club shows, plus pool shows, plus, what are those shows called?
There's also a bowling tournament, technically, that we never make it to.
Yeah,
but
bowling
that it does still exist, as far as I know.
And the club shows. That was the key word I was missing there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we arrived, we arrived the night before, and we hung out away from the punk rock bowling thing, but Saturday comes.
Yeah, we did Saturday, we did Sunday and Monday at the festival, and we did one club show on Saturday.
And this is in downtown Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. We arrive on Saturday afternoon. We go to the venue, and it has moved, and we didn't know because we weren't paying attention. So that was a weird thing.
I feel like that was not clearly communicated to us. Like, I know that a lot of people maybe have not. I watched all their social accounts very closely.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff. They even were giving food recommendations. They were updating what food trucks they're going to have at the festival. But I didn't see anything. And maybe I missed it. It is possible. But it's not just me. Like, our friends, other people didn't notice it. And other people we talked to at the festival also went to the old location, which is the downtown event center.
Yeah.
And it looked like everything there was set up, and we saw it the night before, so we were just like, oh, cool, we're going there tomorrow. And then we show up, and there was nothing there, which started to immediately remind me of when I went to When We Were Young festival, and that was canceled in Las Vegas. And so I was kind of like, oh, did that happen again? But it was moved to a different location, which is basically a parking lot.
It's old location
where it was, and that was a major bummer because the new location is so much better.
Yeah, that was when we were walking to the where we thought it was going to be. We were also standing next to a dude, or it was probably a couple of people, and they were looking it up at the same time. We were like, "What happened?" And then he sees the guy. Mm-hmm. He on his phone. He did notice. Oh, it has an address here, and then he told me what it was, and then we went to it. So, yeah, that was bizarre. I don't feel like it was, like you said,
clearly
communicated.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with that. But we made it.
We did make it.
And it was 95 degrees.
Yeah, and we were like scrambling, trying to make it to the first band we wanted to see. But we saw them, so that was good, and we did make it. We got in.
Yeah, so interesting that we got in. It wasn't too bad when we finally got there and got it. It didn't take that long to get in, but because of the not knowing where we were going, we did miss Venomous Pinks, who I thought, well, maybe if we get there early, we'll see them, but there was no way. That didn't happen.
So
we got there like 2:00.
Yeah.
And then it took 10 minutes to get in. So by then they were already started. And then by the time we got in and situated, I think they were done by then.
Yeah.
So I think the first band we saw was Disgusting and the Rodents, who played at like 2:30. So I never heard of them. Don't know anything about them. It's super hot, but we walk right up because it's not even crowded at that point. And it was like, I'd say 10% full, 15% full at that point, maybe. And they were awesome. Disgusting and the Rodents. Never heard of them. They were playing like a grungy, dirty punk. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they were great. And so I was like, okay, this is cool. But then like the sun was coming down. I'm getting beat out there. We go try to get a drink. The line was super long. Yeah. I don't think we even did get a drink. We're just like, oh, we'll come back later. I think that's what we ended up agreeing to do. And we went over and watched Susie Moon.
Which was amazing.
She was probably the best performer out of the entire punk rock bowling festival. And to come
out at, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and be like that into it and be energetic, which I think there's pros and cons earlier sets if you're playing them. You might have more energy during the day possibly, but then it's just kind of hard to get into the mood of rock and roll for me, at least at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And later in the evening, it's usually at least a little bit cooler, but then maybe you're tired from doing stuff all day. So, but yeah, Susie Moon just killed it. Like absolutely killed it. Blew me away. Such a good set. So energetic and just tight performance. Like just a lot of
they wanted
on stage presence. Like the stage presence is incredible.
That was we'll talk about it more later, but some bands were out there just playing their songs.
Yes.
Some bands were out there like living the songs, like really giving it. They want it. They're performing hard.
Yeah.
They're going for it full on. Susie Moon, full on. Garage punk.
Yep.
Was awesome. Like I said, performer of the entire 4-day festival. I'm giving it to Susie Moon on that. She killed it. And then I was exhausted at that point already. We're 2 bands in. It's 95
it's
degrees.
so hot. Just thinking about it makes me exhausted. Yep.
Then, oh man, who do we see next? I believe it was Surfboard. Oh, so that's right.
So good.
I wanted to see the Crowd.
Yeah.
I already liked the Crowd. We used to play them all the time on our radio show back in the day. They're like Ramones-y, fast 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 kind of punk rock. And I listened to them from afar. But at that point, that was when I did need the shade for a moment. And I think we got a drink or something. But then, okay, we made it out to Surfboard. That was probably my favorite band of the festival. They're just playing like sloppy punk, like how describe Surfboard for me, because it was strange.
It was energetic.
Yes.
It was I mean, I think more of like straightforward punk, but fast.
Yeah.
And it was just like a very nonchalant performance. Susie Moon was very like theatrical.
Yes.
And there's outfits
poses, the rock
and there's
poses.
it's very like the stage presence is very professional or very like that. And Surfboard was the exact opposite of that.
Right.
It's just like kind of like, and in a good way. Like it's just a little more sloppy. It's just edgy. It's just, there's no like practice moves or, outfits. It's just very like raw.
Yes.
It's raw.
I remember
No theatrics.
when I watched them, the lead singer was on another planet. She was like, I don't know what, but it was great. But it reminded me of when we saw Yeah Yeah Yeahs when they put out the Fever to Tell album way back when Karen O was like on drugs and just a complete mess, but it was like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
This lady was like, whoa, this is like Karen O 20 some odd years ago. She's out there just letting it hang, like letting it fly. She did go out in the crowd.
Yep.
Without a thought. She took off her top for a second for unknown reasons.
Oh.
And that was weird. She like turned around to take off her top as to not flash everyone, but she was so lazy about it, it didn't work. It was... And then the guitar player looks like a total surfer bro, which was weird. Kind of like Hulk Hogan, but thin. He had like a mustache. Very strange band, but they were rad. Old school punk. That was definitely a highlight performance for me, Surfboards.
Yeah, that was definitely really good. And then I think next band we saw was probably Fear.
Yeah, that gets into... Here's where problems start to happen for me. Mm-hmm. But did you have something you wanted to say before you move on?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so this is kind of the dividing line of the festival when I first noticed it. There's the early bands that are going on early in the day at these ridiculously early times at this 95-degree weather. Mm-hmm. And they're newer bands. They're more energetic bands. They're kicking ass.
They are.
It's an amazing show. At this point, I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy good. And then Fear goes on, leaving 70 some odd years old. And it's like, I don't want to pick on the dude because like, it's awesome that he's still out there being a punk in his 70s. Okay, That's totally rad. And it's cool that they had an old band, like a classic punk band, come out there. Mm-hmm. But compare the performances that we had seen to Fear. Mm-hmm. Fear was just standing there, really. They weren't doing anything. Right. Like, they're playing their old songs. Of course, that's what they do. But it's just like, okay, you're here. You're doing it. I will give the drummer credit, though. Yeah. That drum beat The Fear drum beat, I love that drum beat. There's something about how that guy does the footwork with the hi-hat. It's slightly different than usual. It's really forward pushing. So I do love that. But man, just the energy level dropped a ton. And it was annoying because it's after 5 o'clock now. And they're getting a better time slot. But they're like, they're old. And that, like, this is what happens the entire festival. You have these great bands playing right up front. They're killing it in 95-degree weather. The weather starts to cool down slightly. I'm kind of being able to, like, enjoy myself without dying of exhaustion. And then these old timers come out and they play these boring ass sets. Even though I love all the bands, I'm just like, this is not doing it for me.
I think I see what you're saying, but I think you don't get to play a later slot by having the most energy. It's determined by draw and probably respect in the scene and like all of that. So I think that's a really big part of it. But it does suck. But I mean, I don't know. Like maybe then Surfboard in 20 years when they're playing punk rock bowling, maybe they're going to be headlining or something. I don't know. Because you can't also put like Bad Religion as the first band or whatever, which
no
or anything like that. Like that, it's not Warped Tour where there is no sort of there's no significance to what slot you play. In other festivals, there is a significance in how much later you play. So,
and you mentioned exactly what I wanted to mention next was at Warped Tour they have random ass time slots where they have good bands that you love, good bands that you've never heard of, bands that you don't like. What doesn't matter, but they have all these crazy time slots. And now I see the benefit of it.
Oh.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Because this was a disappointment when all the high energy bands are done by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The festival ends at 10 or 11, and I have to sit there for 6 hours like slogging through classic punk, which I love, but I'm like, I've been here for 6 hours now. I'm dying.
But also part of it, another counter argument, I think part of it is during the smaller bands we were so much closer to, that makes you feel more energized. But I agree with what you're saying. But yeah, it's just a different type of festival, and I think it sucks because I think for like a lot of people it's their only chance to see some of these bands that literally reunite for this festival. Like last time we went, we saw Lunatics, and like they haven't played shows in a really long time, and so on. So it is like the only chance to see some of these bigger bands. So I don't know. It just, it's unfortunate.
It's tough. I feel like they need to do a better job of pumping up these smaller bands so they can become a bigger draw down the line rather than burying them like they do. Because it's awesome that they're there in the first place. Don't get me wrong. Like having Surfboard there,
that's cool.
I feel like that's a miracle that they were even there. I remember we just heard about them like a few months ago, and I was like, "Whoa, this band's amazing!" And then when they were on the bill, I'm like, "I can't even believe they're playing."
Mm-hmm.
But then when they go out there and they destroy Fear, they destroy The Damned. They're just like killing it, like Slackers, Fishbone, like. They got Adolescents, killing them all. Agrolites, killing them.
But there are
the Casualties,
way more
killing them.
people
GBH, destroying them. Anti-heroes,
the older
killing
bands
them.
for sure.
So it's just so frustrating, driving me bonkers. But then moving along from Fear, next band we saw, we skipped Adolescents because we were dying of heat stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And I did catch a little bit of their performance. Seen them too many times at this point. I'm like, I don't need Adolescents anymore.
Yeah.
Like one of the main dudes is dead now. I don't know. It's a whole thing. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes for the 5,000th time are playing punk rock bowling. I'm tired of them. I'm over them. It was a funny idea. Like the first time they played, they're a punk rock cover band. They take pop songs, turn them into punk songs. Okay, but you get into play like third to last, playing Paula Abdul and. What are we wasting our time for? I'm freaking annoyed. And we'll talk more about them later again.
Yep.
But, okay, so they're done. And then they have Slackers and Fishbone. I'm like, what? Again, hella old bands. What they're not. I mean, Fishbone's cool. Slackers, they're not even punk. But what? Okay, I guess you're right. People like them. People are coming from all over to see them. But I'm just like, man, another missed opportunity for these time slots. Any thoughts about either of those?
No.
Because, man, I was over it by then. I was in a bad mood now. Now I'm in a bad mood.
And then we caught a little bit of Interrupters and we watched all of Bad Religion. And Bad Religion is just always consistent. Like, again, they've played Punk Rock Bowling a lot of times. Yeah. They're just always consistent. They have enough hits to play hits and not play the same ones you saw them play last time and so on. They're good. But yeah, we've all seen them like 20 plus times at this point.
I was going to say the same exact thing. They just have so many songs. They're like some of the best writers in punk rock history. Yeah. Them and Rancid, both of them. When you have 24 classics, your set list can be changeable and still be awesome. So I don't have any complaints about Bad Religion. No. I was totally fine with them. I thought they played great. Everything was cool. I was just dying at a heat stroke still, basically, at that point.
Yeah.
But they still killed it. No complaints about Bad Religion. Interrupters, they brought energy, so that was good because,
and they
like
usually have a big crowd watching them too every time I've seen them.
So Interrupters, compared to these other bands that we've been talking about, they're much younger. You know, they're probably in their early 30s or maybe late 20s. I don't know exactly how old they are, but they brought their energy. Yeah. So that I needed that. At that point in the evening, I am tired. So they come out there at 7:45 and they're just doing their ska punk thing and I'm into it and I'm having a good time because they are into it themselves. And it was just such a contrast of all these old timers like on the verge of death. But then they come out and I'm like, this punk rock energy. It's great. But anyway, Bad Religion finished it off. It was great. Overall, that was good. That was day one.
Oh my gosh.
Did you want to go into day two?
Well, we also saw a club show. We saw
was that the same night?
That was the first
Holy
night.
Holy crap, you were right.
So we
club
saw
show.
a secret headliner club show. So Slaughterhouse opened it up. They were really good. We saw Alice Bag, really rare opportunity. So much energy, even though an old timer.
Yeah.
She just like jumped on stage the entire time. Pretty short set, but it was like tight. It was good.
Yes.
And then we heard rumors that the Damned are supposed to be headlining, but
it was more than a rumor. It was
like
Alice
posted.
Bag herself said, "Can't wait to play with the Damned."
Yeah, and then they opened the curtain, and there's Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, and we were all confused.
Like, what?
And apparently, the rumor is someone in the Damned was having a migraine or something, and so Me First and the Gimme Gimmes took that set, and then the Damned played like 2 songs in the middle of the set. Allegedly, we weren't there because we left and we were like tired at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we heard all that information afterward, and okay, so I'll give respect to Me First and Gimme Gimmes for like stepping up and playing a show last minute. So, after I talk all that crap about how I'm tired of him and whatnot. Okay, that was cool that they went out there and did that. That's cool. But man, what a contrast. Alice Bag, like classic punk, like she's talking about like sexual assault and trans rights and abortion, like, and then this like stupid ass cover band comes out as the headliner on top of that.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. Like, we left. I was so bummed.
It was just a very different
we need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It was such a terrible attitude. I was mad. I was like, I don't even want to be here. My mind was just in a different place.
It's kind of like if you're eating ice cream all night and then somebody brings out shrimp.
Yeah.
And maybe you like shrimp, but not after ice cream. Like, it's just, there's just certain things that don't go together. And I feel like that was one of those things.
Yes.
It felt like just a very different shift in energy and everything.
Yeah.
And the crowd was just kind of confused as far as I'm concerned.
But I will say, Alice Bag, 60-something years old, right? Blew my mind. I did not have those kind of expectations. I thought it'll be cool. I thought it would be similar to like Fear or The Damned that played the next day, or just like one of those. Okay, I'm here. It's like a historical importance thing, so I'm here to watch. No, she kicked ass. It was awesome.
Yep.
And the band before she played Slaughterhouse. I had zero expectations. I was annoyed. I was like, I'm just ready for this show to start. Like, I had zero expectations, and they killed it. The lead singer was all over the place. The guitar player wasn't doing anything, but the singer made up for it. Totally I mean, I bought a t-shirt, for crying out loud, of Slaughterhouse. That's how into it I was. I never like to spend any money. I'm a total cheapskate. So I got to hand it to Slaughterhouse for coming out and killing it, playing early and awesome. So that was great. So in the end, I was happy that we went to the club show because I had a good time. It was just a good club show. It just ended on such a sour note. Ugh, I was bummed. But same there, or you?
Yeah,
you feel differently?
I mean, I was okay going. I probably would have watched more of First and Gimme Gimmes, but the group was over it, and I was okay with leaving. But
you're right. Fine. I was like, I want to get out of here.
You guys were all acting like a bunch of babies, but that's okay. That's okay, because it wasn't
it
wasn't the band I was most excited to see in the world, so I wasn't going to veto.
Well, thank you for not arguing.
I wasn't going to use my veto power on that. Sometimes you get a veto power in the group. That was not what I was going to use it on.
If I would have stayed, I would have been so pissed. We had to leave.
Yeah. Okay. So, and leave we did.
But then we came back for more the next day.
The next day, we didn't spend as much time at the festival. We came in a little bit later.
Oh, yeah. We needed to. Because that first day...
we were exhausted.
Think about it. Our day starts at 1 p.m., to actually start moving to the thing. We're out there until, after midnight. I'm not going to go back there at noon the next day. There's just no way. It can't be done. And so we missed the Agrolites. I don't care anyway.
I think we...
Sloppy Seconds missed them. Anti-Heroes wasn't paying attention. Casualties
we saw some of it.
We saw some of it. Wasn't paying attention. GBH, again, I was not paying attention. I'm just so bleh at this point. But when Face to Face came on later in the evening, I loved it. Face to Face was awesome. That was amazing. That bass player, you don't think about things like the bass player usually on their recordings. I was thinking about it. I'm like, this bass player is kicking ass. And then I listen to their stuff, and I'm like, well, you can hear it. Their albums are not recorded well enough for me now. Now I'm mad about their classics. I think they need to, it's too bad. They missed an opportunity here because that guy kicks ass.
Yeah.
But they were great anyway. Guy had his birthday. He had a cake out there, and he said he was 54.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, They're came back. I think they did come back, and they played another 5, 6, 7 years since they reformed. And they put out an album, which was good. So, but anyway, I liked Face to Face. They were real good to me. And then that brings us to, The Damned played later, which I wasn't paying attention again. It's just again, the 95 degrees that would not go away. It was so crowded. And then we'll go back to the venue.
Yeah.
The venue was a big problem of a reason why I could not enjoy myself. Previous venue had a nice bathroom. New venue, no. It's a porta potty. A disgusting one.
And they just only get grosser, of course, because they've been in the sun for 3 days the last day.
The lines at the bar were ridiculous. At the old place, we'd walk right up, minute or two, get a drink, easy peasy. This one is a half an hour commitment.
Most bars were cash only.
What the heck is going on?
And so it really saved us a lot of money at the end because not wanting to wait in lines or use porta potties made us drink a third as much as we usually do.
I think I was counting. I had 5 or 6 drinks over 3 days at the venue, which we had more than that day one the last time we were there by far. So I was like, what? But it, not being drunk did not affect my having funness though. So I was like, it's not really a problem. It actually did save money, but that's a stupid way to save money. The line for drinks is so long that I'm not going to bother.
Yeah,
that's on them.
For me, it was too. It was the lines for drinks, and then I don't want to use porta potties more than I have to.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of want to dehydrate right now.
Yeah. But okay, so lots of stupid things about the venue. The one thing they did improve, possibly the only thing they improved, was the food options.
Oh, the food options. Okay.
I thought the food options were much better than in the past.
some were maybe better than last year, but not the best I've seen. But yeah, there's a lot
Okay,
of more.
I only remember the last one.
I feel like there was more options, which is good. They are pricey. I remember paying, but I think that's just inflation and everything has been just more expensive now. But yeah, there's a lot more, I feel like, vegetarian and vegan options, and there's 3 different pizza options, so that's good. And yeah, I think there's more food options. They're just pricey, but that's how it is. But I kind of like there's definitely concerts you go to where it's the same food throughout the whole festival.
Yeah.
And I like the food truck situation better because at least you have a little bit more options if you're, sometimes if you're a vegetarian, you go to a festival, there's no food for you to eat, or if you're vegan. So this is nice. There's like a lot of, even like when we went to Punk and Drublic.
Yes.
They didn't even have vegetarian options for me, if I remember. And I was kind of surprised at a punk festival.
They just had the thing against like the regular venue food.
And there's nothing for me to eat.
No.
And so,
French fries.
Yeah, I think there was just French fries. So it was nice that there's like there's even desserts and there's coffee and like like a lot of vegan options. So that's really good. And I feel like it makes the lines a little bit, like you can kind of play the game of, like, if nobody wants something and you just don't want to wait, you can just go get a less desirable or less popular option or something.
And you mentioned, you said there, I said the only thing that was better about this venue was the food options.
Oh.
I think you were about to say something.
I feel like the last one, when they have 2 stages, it is kind of like a lot of walking around to get to the second stage. This one was a little bit straighter forward. And I like that they now put on screens. So even if you're at a different stage, you can see the screen, like video of the stage that has a band playing right now. So, and I thought that's a great idea.
I did like that.
But what they didn't have is, before they kind of had like turf on the main stage, and so you can like sit down if you needed a break. They don't have that now. There's only turf in the shaded area, but then you can't really see bands from there.
Well, not only that, it's so small that it only fits like 100 people. If you're not one of, you're in like 10,000 people, and there's only room for 100 to sit on a lawn, or however many it was. It's like ridiculous.
It's really, it's super crowded, and then
Dusty
that's where you have
hell.
the lines for the bar, which are really long. So yeah, it's really dusty. And then last year, I think they had misting fans in the shade area. This time they didn't have that.
No, and it was hotter this time than it was last time.
So overall, like, a lot of way too many negatives about this venue. I hope they go back to the other venue.
They need to go back to the other venue. Like, if you have to make it a different day, make it another day. Like, don't go back. I can't deal with that crap.
You can't, finally take us from parking lots. Like, the first punk rock bowling I went to was in Henderson. It was not even in Las Vegas. So we've come a long way. Yeah. And now we have like a legitimate outside venue, and you can't take that away from us and put us in like a parking lot again.
Especially if you want repeat people coming. It's one thing if you're like, this is a once in a lifetime experience, and then you could suck it up. You could suck it up once, but I've gone to 5. You've gone to even more than that. And like, it has to. If you want me to come back, you have to give me a reason to come back. Don't keep giving me reasons not to come back.
Yeah,
it's
because
ridiculous.
The prices of it keep going up.
Yeah.
So the venue needs to improve as well.
Yeah.
Or be consistent at the same quality, not worse.
Ready to move on to Rancid?
Yeah.
That was a debacle. Rancid goes up. It's a sold out show, so it's packed at this point. This is the headliner, the biggest band of the entire weekend, I'd say. They play 2 songs, and the barricade breaks. And then they announce it'll be 5 to 15 minutes to fix this barricade. Lars Frederiksen goes up for crowd control purposes, and he tries to tell a joke, which is, hats off to him for making an attempt, because you do not need a riot situation here. So he was doing his best. You're on your own. You're not a stand-up comedian, and you got 10,000, I don't know how many people. I'm just going to say 10,000 people looking right at you, and you were the last, you were the only thing keeping a riot from happening. He tells a joke, he plays an acoustic song, and then him and Tim Armstrong, they play Ruby Soho acoustically. Was that the one? So that was totally weird. And then they don't have anything. So this is like
End of the night.
That was like 15 minutes of bonus entertainment while they fix this thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, now we're going to get back to the show.
No.
They leave the stage. Nothing happens for 45 minutes. A guy comes out and says it'll be 5 minutes to 15 minutes, and then we'll fix after. This is now, it's been 45 minutes after they said it would be 5 to 15 minutes. And that's when it was like, this is going to get dark. Like, I was worried at that point about a riot, and it was looking bad. Real bad.
No one had energy for it.
No,
Right?
and they lucked out. I mean, I still hand it to the crowd control at the beginning, just coming out there and like setting a mellow vibe, and like, we are fixing it. It will be fixed. It's happening. So I still had some hope, and I just thought, oh my God, if they cancel the show, if they decide to play tomorrow instead, there's just going to be a riot. It's going to be bad. But they fixed it. Thankfully, an hour later, they came back on. They played a whole set, and they were awesome.
Yeah, I feel like they made up for it too, and they played longer because they played till almost 11.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was supposed to be done by like 10, I think.
Yeah.
So I think they played extra songs, and they even played Ruby Soho again because like the real version, not the acoustic version. So yeah, they did a great job, but it just kind of ruined their set for me, having such a long break, because they played a few songs, you're super into it, and then you take a really long break, and then you're just like getting more and more tired, and then you have to like get back into it, which like everyone was into it in the beginning, but then we were like trying to be calm and deal with the boredom and our feet hurting for such a long time. So that was a bummer, but it wasn't their fault, and they did a really good job of trying to like make it up to the crowd and keep people entertained.
I
and
wonder
things like
if
that.
they changed their set list to more just, we better just play all these hits because you got to ride on it. Because when they first came out, they played their new song, which is hardcore. It's fast punk. Like the first 3 songs they played, they set a high energy level. And I mean, that's why the barricade broke, because people were going crazy, of course. And I was like, this is going to be an awesome set. Just like you said, I'm
was
pumped
so
up,
good,
pumped up. They come back out, but they did just play hit after hit after hit. It was amazing, but I was bummed for one reason. They didn't play anything off of my favorite album,
that's right.
the Skull and Crossbones self-titled one. I don't believe they played any. I was waiting for it, but I thought, given the situation, I think you do have to stick to the hits so we don't have a ride on our hands. No one wants to hear Poison other than me anyway, so it's fine. Dead Bodies. They didn't want to play Dead Bodies. They didn't want to play Poison. No Radio Havana. Okay. That was my only set list complaint I had, but it was very mild because it was so good, the rest of it.
Their set was really good.
Yeah. Anything about that before we move on?
Next, let's wrap it up.
All right,
We're
day 3.
Day 3, yep.
We were dead. Totally dead by day 3. But we did go back earlier.
Yep.
And man, probably the best decision we made to go early and not go late. Because once again, we went early. Svetlana's come out there, and
so good.
Man, I said Susie Moon was performer of the weekend, but
that's my favorite was Svetlana.
Yeah, that's
I've never
number
seen
2
them
for
before.
me.
We were supposed to see them at a punk rock bowling club show originally in 2020, which of course didn't happen. So I didn't get to see them for like 3 years after, and then they were worth the wait.
Absolutely.
So much energy. Such a good performance.
Yeah, it's so, again, here's a band that's putting it out there. Here's a band that wants it. Like, they are going full blast. That lady, I don't remember her name, Olga something. Man, like, that is how you put on a show to get people to look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to me. I am demanding you pay attention. And she didn't say stuff. Because a lot of times the band, the crowd will be bored, and a lead singer will be like, oh, you guys, you better show something.
No.
Or like, they'll make fun of the crowd. And I'm like, fuck you. I hate you. But no, that's not what she did. She just took the stage, and I'm like, I'm a magnet. My eyes are just glued into whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you're connected. You're doing it. You're giving everything you got.
It's kind of like very different show than Susie Moon, but both of them, it's like, I'll finish watching the set, and afterwards I'm like, oh yeah, there was like other band members in that band. Yeah. I like forgot to look at them. Yes. Like, because the singers are putting on such a performances that you just cannot break eye contact. Like, you're just watching them the entire time. And then you'll be like, oh, yeah, I forgot. There was like a guitar player somewhere on the stage and the bass player. What does their drummer look like? I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
And I was looking around because I had the same thing. Like, oh, I've been looking at the singer the entire time. I'm going to look around. And it was, they had a crazy sound issue where the guitar player in the middle of the song unplugged his guitar, plugged it into some other thing. They made a bunch of changes. And I would have never have known because the lead singer kept the whole thing together.
I didn't
like
even
you wouldn't have
notice.
noticed. The bass player just kept playing. He was having tone problems, but it didn't matter. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like,
That's so
if you
funny.
can do that entire thing, no one would even know.
See, I didn't even know until you just told me now.
And that's because the singer is freaking killing it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, anything you do right now, I'm being entertained.
Yeah.
She was just winging it. They extended the song. I
Yeah.
don't know what the heck they were doing, but man, as a guitar player, I'm like, whoa, that would have been it for me. I would have had to like turn everything off and fiddle with things and like waste time. Nuh-uh, they didn't waste a single minute. They just killed it. They were amazing.
Did not even notice that at all.
No, they were amazing.
And then we saw Fea.
Fea, bass player Fea. Again, there were 3 awesome bass players at this show. Like I was talking, face-to-face bass player, Rancid bass player, Fea bass player. Fea was driven by that bass. That was awesome. Like, great performance by Fea. I was into it completely as well. Oh my God. And that's what I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's like, isn't it, I don't really pay attention to a lot of things when I'm playing, but I noticed that all these bands I'm talking about that I'm loving here, they all have lead singers that are women that are absolutely destroying it. And all I do is keep talking crap about all these old, stodgy old dudes. So I just, for the first time, I had paid attention and noticed that. I thought, I'll mention it.
I wanted to mention, I think this is the first time I've seen so many bands with women at this lineup. Like, Svetlana's were supposed to play a club show last year. And other than that, I think a lot of these bands have never, I think Interrupters might have played it before, but
a long time ago.
There was just a lot more of bands with women in them, and they were all killing it. And it's really exciting to see that.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And they were all the best bands that played over the weekends. And that goes into the next band that we paid attention to then was L7. So again, it was just like, I was going to say a trifecta, but this is more than 3 now. There's a lot more than 3. Yeah, they killed it too. So, jeez.
They're so loud and
that was the loudest of the weekend.
Yeah.
L7. Man, when they first started, I was thinking, oh, they should turn up that guitar a little bit. And then 10 seconds later, I almost regretted it. It was very loud, but it was so good.
Yeah.
They were great. The lead singer, Donita Sparks, she didn't make a lot of jokes like she normally does. They just went out there and just played it this time.
Yep.
And at that point, I was down for it. That was what I needed.
Yep. It's last day.
Yeah, last day. We don't need to mess around here.
Nope.
We're tired. They're probably tired too. They're like,
all
we're just
tired.
going to freaking rock this place.
Yep.
And then just get the hell out of here. And that's what they did. And they were amazing. And then, after that, I was beat. They beat me down. I was like, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm content with my weekend. Suicidal Tendencies played. I didn't care. Who cares? Like, Hepcat, what are you doing here? I don't care. Agnostic Front, don't care about you. Exploited, I had wanted to see Exploited, but I was like, meh, whatever.
A song.
Yeah, whatever. You're cool, but I'm over it. And we stayed for a little bit, like 1.5 songs of Dropkick Murphys. It wasn't sold out the last day, or it didn't seem like it to me.
It looked so much more empty.
It was like 40% empty, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were beat.
And going back home to work and stuff.
Yeah. So, I don't have much to say about Dropkick Murphys. I'm sure they were fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's what's, I think, interesting about Punk Rock Bowling is, like, we'll talk to people here and there sometimes when we're there. And it's like, the bands you're most excited about are bands people are skipping or have no interest in. And vice versa. Some people are like, oh, I'm here for Suicidal Tendencies today. And we're like, oh, that's not even on our agenda,
I thought they just played like a couple years ago. I can't keep track
we saw
of
them with, I think, Rancid a couple,
Oh, that might have
COVID.
been it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have seen them. That's probably why we do go to a lot of other shows. So I think a lot of times when we say we don't care about catching events, it's because we've seen them.
Yes.
so for some people, it's like they want to cross them off their list, and we've already done that.
Yeah.
So, like, it's exciting. Everyone should go see them, but like that's not the. We're more excited about bands we haven't seen for like most of the bands we were excited about this year are bands we haven't seen before, and a couple that we've seen a bunch of times and we really like.
I'm hoping they maintain the quality of these early bands that they're having, and hopefully they get more opportunities at better time slots moving forward. I feel like it was 2 shows, or maybe 3 shows, like 3 different types of booking. Obvious headliner, like Rancid, Bad Religion, Dropkick Murphys, obviously, no problem there. That's good.
Yeah.
That brings the people. I just thought, if you have Rancid there, you don't need Casualties also. I'm like, I feel bad for saying that on Casualties, but it's like, I'd rather see Surfboard play at that time period at this point, like something else. But overall, still had a great time. It was an amazing show.
Yeah, and I guess what's cool about this festival that isn't the case at other festivals is there's only 2 stages, but so you can actually watch both of them. They're not happening at the same time. They alternate. So that's really cool because you don't have to make the decision of what of the bands.
In the past, they did have the 3
In the past, you had to
3
choose.
stages.
Yeah, and so I think it's actually like in a way a smaller lineup, but it was so solid that it was like I liked it better because we didn't have to skip anybody. There's always that decision. That's the downside of Warped Tour is because sometimes your top 3 bands are playing at the same time.
And I feel like they gave them at least 30 minutes this time.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Bad Cop, what was it, a year ago or 2 years ago? They had played like 20 to 25 minutes, and that's all they got. And then they did have that 3-stage thing where it was just like coming and going, and you had to miss all these bands. So, although I was bummed that there was less options, so to speak, but they made up for it by giving me bands I wanted to see, better set times, better performances. So overall, still good.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who will be playing it next year, but it's just, there's definitely a lot of like the big draw bands are playing it over and over.
Yeah, they do need to find some new.
But it's kind of hard to have somebody up and coming headline a festival like this because it's a festival. It's not a concert. People are traveling and spending a lot of money on it. So it needs to be somebody that has a huge draw too. So, yeah.
We will see.
Yeah.
But that wraps up that part of the thing. Want to talk about Punk Rock Museum?
Oh, yeah. And then we went to their new Punk Rock Museum, which just opened in Vegas, I believe April 1st. So it was our first time going to it. And we've talked a lot about punk rock bowling, so I don't want to talk as much about the museum, but it has 2 floors. It was really well done. It was. I kept reading about all the things they're going to have there. Like there's a wedding chapel, there's a jam room, there's a tattoo parlor in it, there's a bar in it, and like I just kept being like, no, it's not going to be as cool as I expect because it just sounded like it was just so cool in my head, but it was actually better than I expected.
Yeah, it was.
Exceeded my expectations, so it was really cool. It's really well done, but well curated. It's still like brand new. Everything's so nice. Things haven't been like destroyed yet, so that was really nice. And yeah, like the bar was pretty fun place to hang out. And it had kind of different eras of punk.
Yeah.
And it went through, up until like about Warped Tour era and like all the Warped Tour bands.
Yeah, I think like the newest, they did have like the Used had a little thing. Was there Hawthorne Heights? Something?
I think I saw they used several times.
Okay.
There's like, yeah.
So yeah, that was about as modern as it got, which was fine with me.
Yeah.
The layout was great, just like you said. The only thing it was missing, it is a music museum.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at something and know what it sounded like. So they would have like scanning things where you could scan something and then on your phone you could go to a link, get a playlist and get some context, which was good that they had that. But I thought, man, if they just had a little kiosk where you just have a little headphone there and you hit the play button, it would be so much easier than having to do that playlist thing. But so much cheaper just to do the playlist thing. I guess that's ultimately probably why they made that decision.
Yeah.
But I remember at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it
Um,
was a lot of, hey, hit the play button. Oh, you can listen to this band. Oh, hit the play button.
Oh.
Listen to this band. And
Yeah.
that was really cool. Even though the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I like the Punk Rock Museum way better. I still just thought, okay,
Yeah.
that part was
I think the
interface.
the thing that made it harder to consume, to like observe everything, is that there was just so much stuff in each compact space that if you actually took every artifact they had in, like, you would be there for hours.
Yeah.
So that was kind of almost overwhelming, but it was like well done. It felt more like a scrapbook, like with just stuff
Totally.
jammed in there. But I think I wasn't stressing about it because I just figured I'll be back and like I'll notice different stuff next time I go there. So I was not standing in front of the displays and taking in every single item because I would probably still be there by now. So yeah.
No, I agree with it, and I
We
liked
went
it as
through
well.
it pretty fast. Like we paid attention and looked at some individual things, but it was just kind of almost like impossible to read through every letter and like inspect every jacket and flyer and everything.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of paid attention to the ones that jumped out at you, and yeah.
No, I enjoyed it. It was great.
Yeah, I
And I think
recommend
you-
it.
I think you nailed it there.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on museum? Oh, I will mention it was super hot,
Yep.
super crowded, and people were getting kind of unruly in line. But the people that were taking the tickets, they're like, it has never been this crowded ever.
Yeah.
Nothing like this. So we did see it during an anomaly when it was so crowded.
Yeah.
And
Well, of
I
course,
wonder,
because everyone is in town for punk rock bowling, and that's
yeah, so I was just thinking I would go back a second time when it wasn't so crowded, and then I would have probably paid more attention to some things. But it was because it was so crowded, I did just keep moving through, keep pushing
yeah,
through.
or you could just like do a tour, go to the bar,
Yeah.
relax, and then go finish.
Because
the
once you're
tour.
in, it's a casual environment when
Yeah.
you go in there. You can go left, right, up, down,
Yeah,
hang out
it doesn't
here,
matter.
blah blah blah. I mean, you could go. They had an order where you could take it in order,
But you didn't
have
have
to follow it. You could do whatever you wanted, and I would have done more wandering around and probably got a drink and went back. But it
Yeah.
was just like I was just taking everything as I could just to get the vibe and see what it was.
Yeah,
But no, I still liked it regardless.
yeah, it's probably completely different when you're not in town for punk rock bowling, and
Yes.
it's more mellow, I'm guessing. But yeah,
All right. Final thoughts on that?
no, I think everyone should go check it out. It's definitely worth a stop in Vegas. That's if you're in town for punk rock bowling, like you have to go there.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah, like
Yeah.
what else are
It
you
is
doing?
definitely worth going
There's
to.
nothing
no
else
doubt.
you're going to be doing in Vegas that's cooler than that. If you already care enough about punk to be in town for punk rock
Yeah.
bowling, like it's a must do.
And moving along from that weekend,
Yeah.
moving on to just news in general,
Yep.
we have Sum 41 breaking up.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
They've been around 27 years.
It's crazy.
That is freaky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's weird. I feel like now they're allowed to be spoken about with some sort of degree of positivity.
Because they've been around for
Yeah,
27 years.
I was there when they first got around, when like Fat Lip was played on the radio. Like all the punks hated them.
Yeah.
I hated them. I don't like this. It was the whole frosted tips
Yeah.
era of haircuts with the stupid spikes that were, the tipped spike. I don't know. I just hated the whole aesthetic. It
Yeah.
was Hot Topic was all over the place. They were the pop punk Hot Topic band. And I really was like, everyone's copying that sound. That style was just so prominent at the time. You couldn't escape it. But they stuck around. So I'll be like, okay, fine.
Now
I
they're
will listen to a
veterans.
couple songs like the Hell song. I like the Hell song. Okay, I can handle Fat Lip now. I couldn't
Yeah.
handle it then. In Too Deep, no, I think I'll still skip that. I've heard it so many times on the radio back in the... So yeah, they're breaking up.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what my nostalgia is.
I mean, now they've been around long enough, they could play punk rock bowling. They're like practically veterans.
Shoot, we were looking for that. Should be their final show next year's
There you
Punk
go.
Rock Bowling. It'll
Yeah.
be
Well, maybe
Sum
if
41
they-
to headline it and see
if
what
they
happens.
reunite, that would be the thing. Like if they in 10 years or something they reunite, That could be what they do.
I just want them to play punk rock bowling just to see how the crowd takes it.
Yeah.
Because having people that like The Damned in the same place, I just don't see it going over well. Yeah. And so, okay.
But yeah, they're currently on tour with the Offspring and Simple Plan. And I guess they are also going to release their final album and do a headlining tour to say goodbye. So that's good if...
it's going to be the 5-year process.
Yeah, at least they're doing a final tour. It sucks when like a band breaks up and there's no shows. Like they just can't even stand being with each other for like one big payoff. Like they hate each other. Like the band is just so done. They're like done, even though that's like such a good retirement thing is you play your last tour and everybody just pays more and buys more stuff because it's like their last chance to do it. So yeah, that's happening. And then another thing in the news is we're always talking about all the new festivals, and there's Emo is Not Dead cruise in 2024. I think they've already had one in maybe last year or something, and it's Yellow Card, Mayday Parade, Story of the Year, August Burns Red, Senses Fail, Devil Wears Prada, and other bands like that. So should be cool if you're into it. I've never been on a music cruise before.
Yeah, I feel like that would be fun. That particular lineup for emo is probably not going to do it for me. Yeah. But I could be persuaded for an emo cruise. I do like enough bands. It's just it would be tough to get them like my exact curated emo punk lineup. That's a tough one to get. But
yeah,
you're right. They have them all. Like a lot of cruises are big enough now where they have emo cruises.
Yeah. And emo is big enough now that there's an emo cruise.
Wow.
And that's the thing, because I've been on a cruise one time and it was really boring. So maybe if there's bands I want to see, then I can almost tolerate how tiny the rooms are and how bad the food is and everything, because you actually have entertainment instead of the, disco covers or whatever they do on regular tours, which is like not tolerable.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
awful.
no, you can't go listen. You can't do that. No.
So yeah, so check that out if you're interested.
And other news that I found was the director or producer or creator of that show. Oh my God, my mind just went blank at the wrong time. Anyway, a movie's coming out. It's called Polite Society, and We Are Lady Parts. There we go. The creator of Lady Parts, which is an awesome show about this punk rock band out of England that's made up. It's not a real band, but it's still a great show. I recommend it for anyone. Mm-hmm. But that creator has a new movie called Polite Society, and I haven't seen it yet because it hasn't shown over in the Bay Area yet, but I'm just wanted to put it out as a heads up. Here's something that will be put on your radar for a movie to watch.
Yeah.
It's got to be good if it came out of that creation production company. I'm predicting good things on that one. So just wanted to mention it.
Cool. And then we have a couple of new releases. First one is Bring Me the Horizon. There's a new track called Lost. It's still kind of, I think it sounds like their later stuff, of course, which is kind of, there's electronic elements, there's kind of harder elements. What I like about this song is that it sounds kind of happy, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's like super dark, as a lot of their songs tend to be. See, they're like an emo band without having like the emo sound. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then Gouge Away, Idealized. Gouge Away, interesting to me was, for a while, I wasn't really listening to new stuff. Mm-hmm. I was kind of, a couple years, I was just on a hiatus from punk, I guess you could say. And I was like, I wonder what new band's out. So this is like 2014, 2015 probably. And Gouge Away was one I found at that point that brought me back in. So, yeah, but they have always been an experimental, screamy, weird punk rock collective that's, they got their own thing going on. But, yeah, I like it. It's just, something different, loud, like a lot of noise. Linda Linda's, though, Too Many Things. I did like that song. I'm worried about the Linda Lindas because normally when they were little kids. I think they're in middle school. They start a punk band.
They got signed.
And they got signed to Epitaph, and I thought, oh, well, it's all a gimmick because once the young part goes away, there's nothing left to do. You're no longer a young band. You're just a regular band at that point. Anyway, Too Many Things is still good. So they're still killing it. I just wanted to give a shout out to Linda Lindas for that song. It was like kind of like I Want to Be Sedated with a little bit of new wave edge, but still with a punk forwardness. Anyway, good stuff from Linda Lindas. And that concludes the new music I had.
Yep. And then do you have a grudge this week?
Oh, I mean, all my grudges we talked about from punk rock bowling.
Yeah.
I would say the change of venue is going to just be my grudge, an easy one to grab onto. We mentioned all the things about why it stunk, but they really need to fix that. If they're going to fix one thing, I know they're not going to fix the lineup to my liking at the time slots. I think that's asking for too much.
Right.
But I don't think it's asking too much to go back to a better venue. So that's my grudge. And you?
I think my grudge is when people are so nice that it makes you they're being too nice, but then you feel like you're a burden on how nice they are. Like if somebody holds the door open for somebody else, that's nice. But if you're like 20 feet away and they hold the door open, now you have to like practically run to get through the door, and then you feel like you're the jerk for making them hold it, where like the regular expectation isn't that they should be holding the door for you in the first place because you're too far.
Yeah.
Now you're having to, and the same thing, sometimes a car, it's good when you let pedestrians cross, but if like the pedestrian, sometimes I'm like, again, like 10, 20 feet away from this curb, and then they stop, and now you're like, oh my gosh, I have to like get through this as soon as possible because now I'm holding them up and I'm super far away. Or with my dog a lot of times, and they'll like stop and it's like, we're not even crossing. She's just sniffing things around the curb. So yeah, I think you should be nice and you should be polite to people, but you shouldn't do it in such a way that's like too much.
I agree.
So yeah, this has been Almost Punk Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Almost Punk. You can send us emails at almostpunkpod@gmail.com. Send us your recommendations or grudges, or share bands you want us to check out, or shows we should talk about, or movies that are coming out that are relevant to us.
Excellent. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.